So enough of the doom and gloom. I thought I'd report something positive. And Bangladesh, certainly a positive story to me. Here's what happened. As I was researching some parts of this report, I remembered that I was in a mall I believe it was last year, 2020, 2021, and I was just buying clothing, and I was looking at some of every other piece of clothing I was looking at was made in Bangladesh, and I was very surprised at that. I was pleasantly surprised at that it was not made in China. It was made in either Bangladesh or Philippines or Thailand or Vietnam. I buy a lot of shirts, and sometimes I see shirts made in Vietnam, but then I kept noticing more and more over the course of, say, 5 or so years that a lot of the clothing was made in Bangladesh. And that was pretty surprising to me. So here's the story on Bangladesh, the rise of Bangladesh as a nation, or it's truly a success story, no doubt about it. It's up and coming. It's made it through some of the tumultuous years there from its founding. Basically, it received its independence in 1971, and it made a lot of changes to its core structure ever since then. But a little bit of history prior to that, when Pakistan received its independence from the British. Remember, Pakistan was part of India, and India and Pakistan basically separated, and the British actually simply put a dividing line there between two of those nations. And so Pakistan is all 98% Muslims. And so when Pakistan received this independence, it has two parts to it, West and East Pakistan. East Pakistan, currently known as Bangladesh, and it received its independence in 1971, specifically March of 1981. But in the early years when Pakistan had received its independence, it went through a lot of trouble trying to keep itself together. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the map and you look at the distance between West Pakistan and East Pakistan, and you have India in the middle there, is roughly around 1,800 kilometers between the two, East and West Pakistan. So that's where the problem was. And it was probably a blessing in disguise for the Bangladeshi people, because they actually ended up getting their freedom and received their independence in 1971 after a brief war and a little bit of a trouble there with main Pakistan. So East Pakistan, current day Bangladesh, was one of the provinces of West Pakistan, or the nation of Pakistan. So when it separated, it became an independent nation, and it was struggling. But soon after the 1971, it basically found some luck as far as the oil boom of the Middle East. And we know what that was about. It was all the oil coming out of the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, UAE, all these places. And they simply needed workers. So Bangladesh started to send quite a bit of laborers over to Saudi Arabia, UAE, Dubai, all these places, and which was a pretty smart move, because when you send labor that way, which basically what Bangladesh did, it received quite a bit of remittance, labor sending money back home. And that's where it got its first break. So all this money that was being earned in riyals in Saudi Arabia then converted into the Bangladesh currency, the taka. Taka is the name of their currency, and when it naturally, being that foreign exchange the way it is, the real is worth, quite a bit of money because of the oil and all that. And so when they sent these remittances back to Bangladesh, Bangladesh started to come out of that slump that it was in for many, many years. So that was the first break that Bangladesh got on its way to relative success, I would say, which it's currently enjoying. So that was the first. Second break happened with regards to its own infrastructure. A gentleman by the name of Muhammad Yunus came up with this incredible plan. He just wanted to, he observed actually that the women were working extremely hard and they didn't have any finances. They had no loans, but they had no credit, prior credit, of course. When you're giving out loans, you have to have some credit. At least that's the way the system works. But in this case, this individual, Muhammad Yunus, started this bank called Grameen Bank, right? And it started to give out loans specifically to women. 95% of the individuals it was loaning money to were women. Why, you may ask? The reason for that was simple. The Bangladeshi women had tremendous amount of integrity, and they were known to pay back their loans and take care of their families. They wouldn't squander the money, they wouldn't gamble, they wouldn't do anything that would jeopardize the safety of or the finances of the family. So this bank started to give out microfinance loans to women, and it actually put them in groups. And so the group was responsible at times to pay these loans back. So it was a pretty good idea, because if one member of the group was not complying with integrity, they would boot that person, they would boot that lady out of the way and bring someone else in. So it was a very successful project. It really helped the nation as far as building its foundation and bringing them out of the slump. So these women took these loans and simply opened up businesses, and with the remittance coming from Saudi Arabia and other Middle East countries also added on to this. So what happened as far as their labor goes, they started to get into the garment industry in the late 70s, early 80s. Fast forward, currently they are second only to China as far as garment production. It was very surprising to me the first time I noticed that and realized, wow, what a jump from when they started out, and how all the tumultuous years they went through to get to that stage where they are second only to China in garment production. So the chances are, if you went to a mall right now and you picked up an article of clothing, it's probably made in Bangladesh, which is extremely, extremely good for the nation of Bangladesh. And personally, I take my hats off to their government for bringing themselves up the way they did out of poverty, and basically becoming a nation with half of their population it's a third world country. It lifted itself out of poverty, and currently half of its population is out of poverty. So that is the great news as far as the situation with Bangladesh is, and I wanted to report that because, as I said, times there's doom and gloom in the world. You have to assess and report that and analyze that. So that's kind of what I do. But in this case, I wanted to let everyone see the bright side of what's happening with a nation in the third world country that lifted itself out of poverty. 50% of its people are out of poverty. It's a true success story. And I'll keep an eye on them. I'll keep you updated on as far as, because I'm very curious myself in how this nation moves forward. As simple as this nation was, I'm extremely surprised to see that they have made the positive changes they have made as a nation. So I'll keep you updated on this, but to me it was absolutely one of the best things to report on the rise of Bangladesh.